This is Jocko Podcast, number 45, with Echo Charles and me, Jocko Willink. Good evening, Echo.
Good evening.
I often think that if I were an Indian, I would greatly prefer to cast my lot among those of my people who adhered to the free open plains, rather than submit to the confined limits of a reservation, there to be the recipient of the blessed gifts of civilization, with its vices thrown in, without stint or measure. And that is a quote from a book called My Life on the Plains, published in 1876 by a guy named General Custer, who wrote that book, or it was published a few months before he died at the Battle of Little Bighorn. But we're not going to look at that book today, even though that battle, the Battle of Little Bighorn, is something we will definitely delve into. There's a ton of lessons learned there. You know, all the American soldiers were killed in this one unit of General Custer's. There was no survivors from it. So he lost like 200 guys, all of them, himself included. And there was some survivors from some of the other companies that were along with him. There's a guy named Major Reno and another guy named Captain Benteen, and they had people that survived in their company. Actually, a lot of their companies survived, but none of Colonel Custer's or General Custer, Colonel Custer's troops survived. And as I was thinking about doing that battle, because there's so many good lessons to learn about, a lot of lessons to learn about arrogance and overconfidence and splitting forces. There's a really bunch of good tactical lessons to learn from it. And as I dove into it, I ended up coming across another first-hand account from an Indian. Now, I use the term Indian because instead of the term Native American, which is probably which is the correct nomenclature, but in this book that we're going to go over tonight, it's from a Native American who name is Wooden Leg. And throughout the book, he calls himself an Indian. He calls all of his fellow Native Americans, calls them all Indians. So you're going to hear me call them Indians throughout this evening.